Zoning Board of Adjustment special meeting to order at 6:02, Wednesday, January 24th. First item call to order. First item on the agenda is the oath of office for Mr. Kip Malcolm.
If you will place your left hand and raise your right hand and repeat after me, please. I, Kip Malcolm,
I, Kip Malcolm,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support and maintain
that I will support and maintain
the Constitution and laws
the Constitution and laws
of the United States
of the United States
and the Constitution and laws
and the Constitution and laws
of North Carolina,
of North Carolina,
not inconsistent therewith,
not inconsistent therewith,
and that I will faithfully discharge
and that I will faithfully discharge
the duties of my office
the duties of my office
as a regular member
as a regular member
of the Zoning Board of Adjustment
of the Zoning Board of Adjustment
of the town of North Topsail Beach.
of the town of North Topsail Beach.
So help me God.
So help me God.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
Thank you. Item 3, adoption of the agenda. Can I get a motion to adopt the agenda?
I make a motion that we, go ahead, you got yours on. I make a motion we adopt the agenda.
I second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Item 4 is approval of the minutes of the special meeting on March 22nd, 2023.
I move to approve the minutes of the March 22nd special meeting.
I second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
And approval of the June 28th, 2023 special meeting.
I make a motion to approve the June 28th, 2023 special meeting minutes.
On page 5, let's see, 5. I believe there's a correction. Oh, we got it corrected. We have such an efficient town clerk. Thank you. So, can we get a second?
I second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Item 4 is public comment. Has anyone signed up?
No one has signed up.
Would anybody like to speak? Well, then we'll move on to old business.
None.
New business is case number V24-01. The hearing on this matter is quasi-judicial in nature and will be conducted in accordance with the special due process safeguards. All persons who wish to testify in this case should have signed up on the special sheet for the hearing. If you have not signed in and wish to speak, please sign in now. All those wishing to speak, please proceed to the podium to be sworn in.
Madam Chair, before we start that, and I'm sorry I'm hearing an echo here, it's my understanding we only have 4 members tonight, and a variance requires a 4/5 affirmative vote, which means the vote would have to be unanimous. And I want to make sure the applicant understands that and consent to go forward with only 4 of 5-member board.
Are you the applicant?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah. Can we do a brief recess while we step outside and I explain it to them?
Well, sure, but I just want to get it on the record one way or the other, whether they consent or not, so.
I'd like for him to understand, I would like for him to understand the consequences either way.
Okay, before you go out, may I speak to him for a moment
Yes.
Sir.
on the record?
Yeah.
Come on up this way so you can see you.
Are you Mr. Metcalf?
Yes, sir.
Good evening, sir. My name is Brian Eads. I'm the town attorney for the town of North Topsail Beach.
Yes, sir.
And in order to get a variance approved, it requires by law a 4 out of 5 vote. Normally we have, at least we try to have a 5-member board seated. Tonight it appears we only have 4. So and to get the variance, you're going to have to get essentially a unanimous vote of all 4.
Yes, sir.
You have a right to a 5-member board. Obviously tonight we can't do that because we only have 4 here. So we'll take a brief recess. I'll be happy to answer any questions you may have. I just want you to understand that you have the right to have a 5-member board. Otherwise tonight you would have to have a unanimous vote.
Yes, sir. Thank you for explaining that.
Absolutely. If Madam Chair is inclined to take a recess, we'll do that. Once we get back from the recess, if you have any questions of me, please feel free to ask any questions.
Yes,
Thank you.
sir.
We'll take a 5-minute recess.
Thank you, Madam Chair.
I'd like to call the Board of Adjustment meeting, special meeting, January 24th, to order again, please. Okay. So are we going to, do we need to swear in?
Yes.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Oh, okay.
Okay. If you all raise your right hand, please.
The other hand, my other right.
You can place your left if you'd like. Do you swear that the evidence you shall give to the board in this action shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
Thank you.
Thank you. Attorney Eads?
Yes, ma'am. I apologize. I think I interrupted you when you were going through the chairman's discussion about the nature of this quasi-judicial hearing. I can pick up where you left off. Whatever your preference is, Madam Chair.
Before opening the hearing, if you'd like to give the board members a chance to review any of the conflicts, do you want to go over
Yes, ma'am.
that information?
Yes, ma'am. A variance hearing is what's known as a quasi-judicial hearing, which means the applicant is entitled to a fair and impartial decision maker. Essentially, you must base your vote solely on the competent, substantial, and material evidence that's offered tonight. To ensure that you're fair and impartial, I need to ask the board as a whole a few questions. And Madam Clerk, if you'll record their responses. So I'll ask you all the first question. Does anyone on the board have a financial interest in the subject matter of this variance request?
No.
No.
Does anyone have a close business or family relationship with the applicant?
No.
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 It's my understanding the property location for this variance is 6603 13th Avenue. Ms. Hill, can you confirm that?
That's correct.
Okay. I realize many of you, if not all of you, may know where this property is located. My question is, have any of you made a site visit to this property for the purpose of assessing this variance application?
No.
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 Has anyone had any substantive conversations with staff outside of the context of this hearing for the purpose of assessing this variance application?
No.
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 Has anyone had any substantive conversations with the applicant or anyone acting on behalf of the applicant for the purpose of assessing this variance application?
No.
No.
No. No.
Can any of you think of any reason why you cannot be fair and impartial tonight and base your vote solely on the evidence presented during this hearing?
No.
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 The way we will proceed, Madam Chair, is we will first hear from staff, which I presume will be Ms. Hill. She will introduce the item, and then we will hear from the applicant, and then any other party with standing. The applicant has the burden of proof. They must prove through substantial, competent, and material evidence that they meet the criteria that can be found on page 69 through 70 of the board agenda materials. To obtain a variance, the applicant must obtain a 4/5 vote, and as we discussed briefly earlier tonight, we only have 4 members, so that would require a 4 out of 4 vote. Do you have any questions of me, Madam Chair?
Yes, I just want to make sure that the applicant agrees to that.
Yes, ma'am. I agree.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you, sir. All of the witnesses must first be sworn in. Looks like we already did that. They will be subject to questions from the board and subject to cross-examination. And unless there's any additional questions, we'll start with Ms. Hill, who will introduce the item.
The order of business for this hearing will be as follows. First, the planning director. First, the planning director, Deb Hill, will present the staff report. B, then we will hear from the applicant and their witnesses. And C, we will hear from any opponents to the request. Parties may cross-examine witnesses after the witness testifies when questions are called for. If you want the board to see written evidence such as reports, maps, exhibits, the witness who is familiar with the evidence should ask to be introduced during or at the end of his testimony. We cannot accept reports from persons who are not here to testify. Before you begin your testimony, please clearly identify yourselves for the record. I now open the public hearing on case number V24-01 and ask for testimony from the staff. Ms. Hill?
Thank you. A variance request by Keith Parker of NC Design and Build LLC on behalf of his client, Colonel Michael C. Metcalf, U.S. Army retired from the town of North Topsail Beach. Unified Development Ordinance, Article 5, Table 5-1, dimensional requirements to allow for construction of an elevator hoistway approximately 3.7 feet into the 15-foot side yard corner setback at 6603 13th Avenue, North Topsail Beach. The existing zoning is MHR, manufactured housing residential. The existing land use is single-family residential. Surrounding zoning and land use is MHR, single-family residential. Site improvements are the single-family house along with the elevator cargo lift. The size of the property is 5,000 square feet or 0.11 acres, based on a survey dated 12/13/2022 by Dwight Ashley. The compatibility with the comprehensive plan or CAMA land use plan. The property is not within a CAMA AEC. The development is exempt from CAMA requirements. Future land use is high density residential. The property history, the permits that were issued were zoning, simple build, electrical, elevator were issued on August the 7th of 2023. Compatibility with the Unified Development Ordinance. Article 5, dimensional requirements, side yard corner setback for MHR single family is 15 feet. 5.6, other yard modifications. Paragraph B, architectural features such as open or enclosed fire escapes, steps, outside stairways, balconies, and similar features and uncovered porches may not project in more than 4 feet into any required yard. Sills, cornices, eaves, gutters, buttresses, ornamental features, and similar items may not project into any required yard more than 30 inches. Section 2.0304, variances, paragraph A. Number 2, a variance may be granted when necessary and appropriate to make reasonable accommodation under the Federal Fair Housing Act for a person with a disability. Paragraph 4, the requested variance is consistent with the spirit, purpose, and intent of the regulation such that public safety is secured and substantial justice is achieved. Included in the staff report as exhibits, exhibit number 1 would be the staff report. Exhibit number 2 is the notice of inspection failure dated October the 5th, 2023. Exhibit number 3 is the applicant's letter dated October 18th, 2023. Exhibit number 4, VA benefits letter. Exhibit number 5 is DD 214. Exhibit number 6 is the variance application. Exhibit number 7 is the survey with hand-drawn relocation of the elevator hoistway to facilitate parking and access on the ground level. Exhibit 8 is a photo of the existing structure with a hand-drawn relocation of the elevator hoistway. Exhibit number 9 is the public notice for this meeting this evening. With the application, the applicant has responded to the conditions necessary for approval. Condition number 1, a necessary hardship would result from the strict application of the regulation. It shall not be necessary to demonstrate in the absence of the variance, no reasonable use can be made of the property. The applicant responds that he's a disabled veteran having served in the United States Army for nearly 32 years, suffers with VA service-connected degenerative disc disease with arthritis that causes continual chronic back pain, deals daily with long-term results of a left ankle lateral collateral sprain that occurred while deployed to Mosul, Iraq during Operation Iraqi Freedom, has to wear a brace on left ankle during waking hours every day. Both of these conditions in themselves require access to an elevator in his home. Lack of cartilage and subsequent arthritis in the left ankle is so severe that he is a candidate for a VA-financed complete ankle replacement, a surgery that he has had to put off for 10 months as he's waited for the installation of an elevator in his home. In addition to the husband, the wife, Kathy, suffers from chronic pain. She is under the care of a pain management physician and receives periodic epidural injections. For 2 weeks after an epidural injection, she is limited in her mobility, and it is not safe for her to go up and down the stairs. An elevator would lessen her pain, improve her ability to get to the main and upper floors of the house, and improve her quality of life. Condition number 2, the hardship results from conditions that are peculiar to the property, such as location, size, or topography. Hardships resulting from personal circumstances, as well as hardships resulting from conditions that are common to the neighborhood or to the general public, may not be the basis for granting a variance. A variance may be granted when necessary and appropriate to make reasonable accommodation under the Federal Fair Housing Act for a person with a disability. Statement by the applicant. Pursuant to both UDO 2.0304, paragraph A2, and General Statute 160D 705, paragraph D, subparagraph 2, also provides that a variance may be granted when necessary and appropriate to make reasonable accommodations under the Federal Fair Housing Act for a person with a disability. Condition 3, the hardship did not result from actions taken by the applicant or the property owner. The act of purchasing a property with knowledge that circumstances exist that may justify the granting of a variance is not a self-created hardship. Statement by the applicant. Zoning and floodplain development permit, simple build permit, electrical permit, and elevator permit applications were submitted on 07/12/2023 and approved on 08/07/2023. On or about October the 5th, 2023, Building Inspector Ralph Allen notified contractor Keith Parker that the elevator hoistway appeared to be within the 15-foot side yard setback. Mr. Parker had uploaded a survey and photo documents with hand-drawn relocation of elevator hoistway to facilitate parking and access on the ground level. However, these documents were not captured in the CitizenServe file. The requested variance is consistent with the spirit, purpose, and intent of the regulation, such that public safety is secured and substantial justice is achieved. Statement by the applicant. The Federal Fair Housing Act, North Carolina General Statutes 160D, 705D, subparagraph 2, and the town's Unified Development Ordinance allow for reasonable accommodation for a person with disability. 2 members of the public whose health would be threatened absent this issue of a variance, and the scheduling of the applicant's surgery is pending the outcome of the Board of Adjustments review of the variance request to allow for the 3.7 feet into a 15-foot corner side yard setback to allow for the elevator hoist. And staff supports the applicant's variance request.
Ms. Hill, do you want to introduce the portion of the agenda packet related to this application into evidence as Exhibit A?
I'm sorry, say that one more time?
Would you like to introduce the portion of the agenda packet related to this variance application into evidence as Exhibit A?
It is already Exhibit 6. I've listed the exhibits on page 2 of the staff report. Staff report is page 1, and then the variance application is page 6, what I just read.
Right, I'm saying, but we have to offer it into evidence for it to be part of the hearing. So do you want to offer all of that into evidence as Exhibit A? Yes.
Okay. Does it not make more sense to offer it into evidence as the exhibits as outlined in the staff report to avoid confusion?
I mean, I generally introduce the whole packet as an exhibit, but if you're more comfortable with doing it 1 through 9, I think it was.
I'll defer to your, no, I defer to your good judgment, and I'll request that it be entered into evidence as Exhibit A. Thank you.
Which would include exhibits 1 through 9, all in one packet as Exhibit A.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Mr. Metcalf, I assume you don't have any objections to that, sir?
No, sir. No objections.
Thank you, Colonel. Madam Chair, I recommend we accept the entire packet as described by Ms. Hill as into evidence as Exhibit A without objection.
Does anyone have any questions for the planning director? Then we'll proceed. We'll now hear from the applicant.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Thank you for your time. I'm Michael Metcalf, Army retired, and pretty much what I wanted to share and what needs to be shared was part of the report from Deb. But I did want to thank you for your service and for your being here this evening to hear our case. I guess I'm available for questions.
Thank you, sir. Does anyone have any questions for Mr. Mayor?
Just real quick, you have no disputes over everything that was said. You agree or concur that those facts are accurate?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
We will now hear from people opposing the request. Is there anyone opposing? Does the planning director have any other comments?
No, ma'am.
Does the board or other parties have questions for staff?
No.
Is there any discussion anything that needs to be clarified among us?
I don't think so.
Okay. Then I'd like to call for a motion on the conclusion.
Thank you. I make a motion that the board finds as facts that the descriptions and statements of fact set forth in the staff report presented as evidence to the board, as well as technical evaluations, all relevant factors, all standards specified in the Unified Development Order, Section 2.03.04, and having heard all the evidence and arguments presented at the hearing by all sworn witnesses, include as summary of findings of fact that the application for a variance be granted to the,
That's it.
that's it.
I second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Do we have to call the roll?
I think everyone said aye.
Everyone said aye.
Aye.
If there's no further discussion, I'd like to close this public hearing. Thank you for coming.
Thank you.
Sorry it took us so long.
Thank you, Mr. Attorney.
Thank you. Ms. Hill, I assume staff will draft up a proposed order.
Yes, sir. I'll take care of it.
Okay, thank you. Madam Chair and board members, thank you.
Thank you, Mr.
Thank
Edens.
you. I move that we adjourn.
Second?
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.